Is it just me, or did it seem like he overlaid a frame and a half off?
You got moves.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for pod number 2. I am back with my co-host Animated Jay. How you feeling, sir?
I'm excited, man. It's always a pleasure just to see just the variety of Glovers and just how deep it really goes. How deep the rabbit hole goes. But I'm excited, man.
All right, and alongside myself on the trade side, Starlight joining us again, along with Trump and Lust for the concepts. Thank you guys again for being here. You guys are all absolutely amazing. And for our guest judge for this pod, we have one of the men from Finger Circus, an absolute finger styles pioneer. This man has taught on almost every continent, been flown to everywhere, done commercials with countless name brands that are in your house right now. Ladies and gentlemen, PNUT.
Hey.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Thanks for coming in, man. Thanks for joining us. We're hoping to have some fun with you today. It's going to be a fun match.
Of course.
Now, I mentioned this before, but the guest judges are no longer just a tiebreaker. You, as the guest judge, have 1.5 points to bestow onto any of the 3 Glovers that you feel won the battle, based on your criteria. We have our criteria, which is a total of 80 points per card, and you have 1.5 points that you can give away to anyone you'd like to. It turns out that the 1.5 wildcard points did end up deciding the match last round, so it absolutely is crucial. So, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Okay.
So no pressure, but like at the same time, all the pressure. So
I like it.
yeah. So today we're going to be taking a look at Mr. Freckles, Elixir, and JPEG. This is an absolute puzzle fest, so I think we have the perfect guest judge here for this particular bout. So without further ado, let's get started with Mr. Freckles.
The same soul. But do you ever try to path on the right side? Put it up in your mind. But do you ever try to path on the left side? Put it up in your mind. It's gonna be alright. I'm here and try. Roll your mind. You run. Roll your mind, you run, try. Roll your mind, you run, try. Roll your mind. Seeing all the watering, fill your eyes, doing the things they know. Talking about the same old stories they've heard about the people they think they know. But do you ever try to path on the right side? Put it up in your mind. But do you ever try to path on the left side? Put it up in your mind. It's gonna be hard. I'm here, you run, try. Roll your mind, you run, try. Roll your mind, you run, try. Roll your mind, you run, try. You run, try. Roll your mind, you run, try. Roll your mind.
Well, that was Mr. Freckles. I don't know about you, but I've definitely got to get something off of my face after that, because holy crap. Hey, man, Jay, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, man. I feel great. That was dope. It's interesting. I'm gonna just say what comes to my mind. Crazy Tuts. He's got the angles and such. Like he's got the mobility and That's how I like would visualize how he tuts. It's like picture, picture, picture. And then he would switch it up. He would go into more flowy, more into the gloving essence. This is the only thing I gotta say. This I'm gonna give feedback. I'm not a judge, but I'm gonna just share. I really I like when glovers like you can keep all the intricacies, you can keep the angles, but you can still keep that like depth perception, that essence of gloving. With Freckles' video, I felt like it was like, here's the tuts. Now that section's over. Now here's this. Now that section's over. Now here's the that's the way I kind of saw it. But I'm not a judge. I'm just here to just enjoy the show. So let's give it. I want to hear, Trump. What I just shared about his, technical, how he the angles, and then it's very flowy, and then do you agree, disagree? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, like I do agree with you in regards to the way that his tuts feel, where it just snaps from one to the next. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's really clean, but I did see a little bit of a repetitiveness to a couple of his moves. He definitely hit like the same quick combo twice. Aside from that, I mean, for the complexity of what some of his tuts were, they were super clean. I don't think there's anything that super stood out to me as far as cleanliness or transition goes. Coming back to just the caliber of how good everybody in this competition is. Um, I think he'll score well as far as use of space and whatnot. He's always been a heavy hitter in that area. Keeping it clean like he has been did super great. And then his concepts, of course, is one of the better tutters that we have here, as well as just really creative moves overall.
Now, coming to, talking more about that showmanship, the presentation of it, what do you think, Starlight? I don't know. Personally, because we've been seeing some different stuff. We've been seeing people come in with the camera, like they're starting reverse. Some people putting their fingers in the glove. Some people, I don't know. I felt like I would have loved to see something with that hallway. Like if he would have used that environment, I don't know how, but just the fact that it was like in a hall, like, I don't know, use the wall or something. This is just my mind going and sparking things. But what did you feel about the presentation of it, the show?
No, the presentation of this was really clean, as everybody has been saying. It was very easy to read. It was easy to watch. You knew exactly where he was and where he was going. His backlighting isn't messing up any of his like larger behind himself illusions. But I think what you might be seeing and what I'm kind of seeing is a little bit of a lack in presence, and not necessarily in his motions, but just in the state of mind, you know? I felt like he was a little bit in his head, although his musicality was beautiful. It was very readable. But I don't know, Teddy, what did you think on that for his do you think he was in his head a little bit, or
So, okay, I actually had a different kind of combo with musicality. So, the beautiful thing about knowing that Glovers all have to use the same song is now I can trick them with the song. This song was intentionally chosen because it does have a little bit of a repetitiveness to it. And all these people in this one have a ton of concepts. So, this is a test for them to try not to repeat themselves and to use the same sounds differently, which should play to both sides of the scorecard. And unfortunately, I don't think Mr. Freckles came through on that. Not granted, it was a hidden test. It's not like I told him it was going to happen, but this is a hard competition. It's what it's supposed to be. And like I said, I just don't think he came through on that because, like I said, the song is intentionally kind of repetitive. It's nice and it's easy and it's fun, but it's intentionally repetitive. So it is up to you to make it different and to make it your own. And I didn't feel that. Now, granted, I will say he hit the song very well. He's still going to score pretty well in musicality, just not like going to be like absolutely amazing. So, but he did hit the beat. But as we've said this before, a difference between reacting to the music and proactively creating the music. And he was kind of on that line, but not quite over. That's where I'm at. I will say again, the digestibility, all the complex, crazy stuff that he did, I was able to understand everything, which it is so hard to make all those complex tuts more digestible. So kudos.
Speaking of being digestible, Lust was his, his foundation, his technical aspect. Did you feel it was digestible for yourself?
Definitely. I mean, even, those clocking positions, doing those with gloves on, with lights on, and for them to appear so natural, and readable, like the complexity matched with cleanliness in this show, in my opinion, is off the chart.
And then last, want to hear from you, Peanut. I know, at least from what I've seen, your work, very, your crazy dexterity, crazy flexibility, and then your storytelling, how you present your movements, your fingers, your arms and hands. Um, and even in this clip, I think I saw like a variation of, was it the monsters or the Medusa? I forget what you. It's the Medusa, right? A
Yeah.
variation of it. So I'm curious, what stood out here? What caught your attention? Yeah.
Well, I like the complexity of it, and everything he did was easy to read and digest. I really liked his punchlines. The one thing I didn't really like is what you actually touched on. You could see when he was switching from style to style, like you can kind of call it before it happened. And it was very resteady. Like you knew this was the King Tut portion, this was the digits portion, this was the classic gloving style portion. So you can kind of call it out before it happened. But other than that, I liked everything he did.
Sounds pretty solid, honestly. I think Freckles give a solid round, and it sounds like, I don't know, maybe branch out, maybe something internal. I think Starlight mentioned something internally is going on there. But Teddy, scores, what's up?
All right, Animated J, and we have the scores in. Mr. Freckles coming in hot, 59.5 out of 80 points. For 3.5 and 8.5 from Lust under Cleanliness, Use of Space, and Concepts. Same categories from Trump, 4, 4, and 8. On the trait side, from Starlight on Delivery, 3.5. Showmanship, 3. Musicality, 7.5. And from me, on Delivery, 3.5, 3 in Showmanship, and a 7 in Musicality. So really just an absolute great showing. This was right about the scores that were up for debate in the first pod. So this is right on the money, and I'm excited to see what's next. I'm excited to see how everybody does. So without further ado, let's move on and check out Elixir.
I'm walking around in the circle of life, doing the things I know, walking the same ways 100 times with the same soul. But do you ever try to path on the right side, put it up in your mind? But do you ever try to path on the left side, put it up in your mind? Talking about the same old stories they've heard about the people they think they know. But do you ever try to path on the right side, put it up in your mind? But do you ever try to path on the left side, put it up in your mind? It's gonna be hard. I'm here and trying, roll your mind. You run, roll your mind. You run, trying, roll your mind. You run,
That was so much fun. Animated Jay.
It's the essence, man. You know, it's the essence to keep that gloving essence. Like the music, you really have to give that flow. Like the music is very trancy, you know, and it's very like hypnotizing, and you gotta give that. At least again, like when I see gloving, like I want to be hypnotized. Like that's the thing about gloving that I find is so bugged out. Like bringing you in, using the depth and such. And again, like even the setting, like color your room if you have to. Get some light, dude. Get something to like set it up. You know, horrible example as my background is white. But you know, still, you know,
Trendsetter, people. This man is a trendsetter.
that just that essence. And then again, like even I noticed his facial expressions, like he was enjoying himself, and just there's something about you can see someone is enjoying themselves, or if they're thinking too much, or if in their head and such. So these might be things outside of loving or judging it specifically, but just some thoughts that I see. Who laughed first? Teddy? Okay, Teddy, you get to go first then. What did you feel about his this showman, this performance, this storytelling?
This is something we actually talked about in round 3, and you weren't here for it, and it was something that, you and there's something that happened when you and I met at IGC 2015, when you went aha, aha, and it was like, I saw that you heard that, and there was a moment in the beginning of the song where he just did this little like shrug as this like small sound came up, and it was just like this little, and he just caught it so perfectly. It was just like, from the get-go, I was just like, oh, okay, all right, you have my attention, kid. Perfect. This is what I wanted, 100%. And yeah, I mean, you said it best. Like this was a light show. Like he is absolutely encapsulating the idea of a light show. And you know, contrary to the first show we saw, where the song is intentionally repetitive or hypnotizing, however you want to look at it, the idea is it's up to the Glover whether the song sounds repetitive or sounds hypnotizing, because a trance is basically the same words over and over again, or the same things over and over again, said in a certain way to get you to feel a certain thing or act a certain way. So, that was delivered exquisitely.
Nice. Now, you know, back to the whole thing of light shows, you know, how the lights are important. They're an important aspect in a light show contest, or just giving light shows in general. Lust. What would give me your thoughts on just his setup of his lights, of how he presented them. I know presentation was more of the showmanship on Teddy and Starlight, but give me more, I guess, of the technical aspect of his lights.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, when you think of light shows, you kind of naturally think of trails. You know, on every loving box, there's a trail shot. On people's profile pictures, there's a trail shot. You know, it's like a life. You know, it's about the lights. And what I thought was really great in his show was his entire whip sequence had a lot of unique flares. You know, he did one where he like popped his thumb out like on and he had
you popped it out on the U, like he was pointing at the audience too. I want to point that out too. Just like
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He had, you know, the anti-flails and all that. And, you know, I think people need to take that into consideration, and not just how dexterous his fingers may be, right? So, you know, there's ways to complex your show in, you know, aspects of how he led with both hands doing liquid instead of only leading with one hand, you know. Things like that, you know, add complexity to your show. But he also has really fun dials, creatures, all that. It's always a really fun show to watch. So I did feel like he was really clean. I did notice he had that one hesitation like mid-show. Did anyone else catch that?
Yeah. But it
And
was
then-
the one.
Yeah, I know. And then he was
The
just so
one.
smooth out, and I was like, but yeah. So there are some things we can nitpick, but honestly, sometimes that's what we have to do. What did you think, Trump?
There was that one portion. I don't want to get stuck on that one little hiccup in the show, but I mean, we all saw it. That was super obvious. It's a tough competition, and for something to just kind of snaps you out of that trance that that Jay was talking about earlier. Um, Aside from that, I mean, the cleanliness was there. The use of space, the liquid was amazing, and perfect point that that Mary made was that he did lead with both hands, which is something to make note of. And then, of course, his concepts are a lot of the time something that we're not seeing very often in these shows. Um, Pretty much very his own show. And then overall, personally, that was probably one of the more enjoyable and more light show esque videos that we've gotten to watch today. Um, Overall, great performance. I don't know where that hiccup came from. But like I said, I don't want to get too stuck on that. It is what it is. Aside from that, it was a great show all around. Strong performance, in my opinion.
Nice, nice. Starlight, I want to talk about musicality. I know we've been talking about musicality a lot, and especially in the last set of Glovers, it was like geometric and blunt, and we were kind of. I know you were sharing like, yeah, like they're giving they're kind of like setting it up, or it wasn't. I felt it wasn't satisfying, or at least the level of what you would impress or amaze you. What did you feel about his musicality in this clip?
This one, this show, I'm positively floored by it for a lot of reasons. But the musicality within this, how I would describe this is what complex, aware musicality looks like. While there's not quite maybe in moments as crisp of a distinction between the beats, there's an active thought process going on here, especially, with the hidden like repetition of things within the song. For me, this musicality was very, very satisfying, and especially because he played to the beats you want him to hit. I know that there's, within art, we want to express ourselves and kind of do what we want, but with proper execution of musicality, there's almost this expectancy of where you're going to land with your beats. And especially when we were talking about that flail pattern and he went you right on the beat. That was so good. This was one of the most enjoyable shows on my side of the scorecard I've seen thus far.
Nice, nice. And I want to pass it off to you, Peanut. I know we just saw Freckles from before. Now we're seeing Elixir. So you have two Glovers now to kind of compare and contrast, or similarities and differences. Yeah. What were you seeing here? What caught your eye? What was going on?
Well, I was very satisfied. It was I don't know what it was about the show, but it was extremely satisfying.
Mm,
When he first came on, just the whole setting and the essence of it brought me in immediately. And I don't know about you guys, but I blinked maybe twice because I didn't want to miss anything. So I was really into it. And by the time it was over, I was like, man, it's over already. Like I wanted more because it was so good. I didn't notice the time had flown by. So I really
Yeah, it was
enjoyed
over
that.
2 minutes. It was over 2 minutes.
Give me 4 minutes because that was great.
Hold on. I want to chime in here because I have a screenshot if I dig deep enough of Peanut saying that he will never watch a dancer over 3 minutes ever.
He's not lying. He's not lying.
And for him to say that give me 4 minutes, that's like
I didn't even realize it was that long. Like it was, I don't know. I was just there. I was in the moment. It was so good.
okay.
mm.
Elixir, you just convinced Peanut to watch a 4 minute light show. You've done the impossible. But we do have the scores in, and Elixir has pulled ahead 4, 4, and 7 from Lust under Cleanliness, Use of Space, and Concepts. 3.5, 3.5, and 7 from Trump under Cleanliness, Use of Space, and Concepts. On the trait side, delivery, showmanship, musicality from Starlight, 4.5, 4.5, and 8. And for me, 4.5, 4, and 8. So, yeah, Elixir coming in heavy. 62.5, highest score of the round so far.
Damn.
Interesting. Speaking of highest scores, we have someone who this last light show is someone who earned the highest score in the competition thus far, in round 1. Now, granted, I think that score was definitely on the higher side, but it was definitely an amazing light show. So we did not save him for last on accident. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out JPEG.
I'm walking around in the circle of life, doing the things I know, walking the same ways 100 times with the same soul. But do you ever try to path on the right side, put it up in your mind? But do you ever try to path on the left side, put it up in your mind? It's gonna be alright. You run, drive, roll your mind. 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 Seeing all the watering, filling your eyes, doing the things they know, talking about the same old stories they've heard about the people they think they know. But do you ever try to path on the right side, put it up in your mind? But do you ever try to path on the left side, put it up in your mind? It's gonna be hard. You run, drive, roll your mind. You run, drive, roll your mind. You run, drive, roll your mind. You run,
That was JPEG. Animated J.
Yeah, that was really solid. I feel from this performance, it shows his I would say vast experience in different styles within gloving. Like he is familiar with he's comfortable tutting, he's comfortable with whips, he's comfortable with the intricacies, going very close. And I really enjoyed the transitions. Like I felt everything really transitioned smoothly and it didn't feel choppy. I know we kind of talked about Freckles before of this, like here's this and then here's this and here's that. I felt this show was a bit more smoother when it came to connecting the dots. But I want to hear from. I'm gonna go with Lust. Lust, what do you? Yeah, what did you take away from this show when it comes to the technical? The foundation.
It wasn't the most technical show of this round. I definitely think his musicality and his delivery he kind of aimed his show in that direction. But he did have some very technical concepts. He had this like 3 stack. I don't know what he did, and then he like dropped his hand through. Things like that. Like I hadn't seen before. Just adding his own flair to some commonly thrown positions, which was really nice to see. Use of space I thought was really nice. He's very clean also, so he won't score amazingly on my scorecard, but definitely kept the bar high.
Let's switch it up and let's talk about that performance aspect, the whole presentation. It's a show, it's a light show, getting your viewer engaged. Teddy, what were your I'm gonna say one thing. Again, I'm not a judge, but this is just what comes through my mind. The beginning where he said the music talks about walking somewhere, I understood. He walked to us. Okay. Like, I don't know. Like, what, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But
The word of the day is nuance. Okay. If you did not, and this is to anyone at home, if you did not watch that with headphones on, I encourage you to go back and do so, because I guarantee you there are a lot of little things in that song that he just elevated and brought to the top. It's like if you get a piece of pizza, right? Pizza's really good. You're in a small minority if you don't like pizza. Like, obviously there are people that don't like everything, but for the most part everybody likes pizza, right? He put fresh basil on his pizza. He absolutely put fresh basil on his pizza, and you could taste the fresh herbs in there, because all the little things were just elevated. When you put fresh basil on a pizza, you absolutely elevate everything in it. You elevate the tomatoes, you elevate all the milk and the cheese. Like, everything that's not salt is elevated by fresh basil, and he absolutely just basiled us out, and I'm refreshed. Exactly. Peanuts got it right.
okay.
Trump did it first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was sorry. Trump did it first. Excuse me.
I like this guy.
What do you like, Trump? Tell us what do you like?
This show is probably the most well-rounded and personally digestible, despite the technicality and complexity that was added to it. I could not possibly have agreed with Jay more. Throughout everything that Jay's ever said, this is probably took the words out of my mouth for sure on this one, where everything did flow super seamlessly, super comfortable with literally everything. If I hate to compare, but you can tell the strengths of everybody that we've watched so far. I don't know if I could tell you JPEG's strength because he did everything so well. From his tuts to his liquid and just his transitions overall, everything was super solid. Even nitpicking, there wasn't a single moment where I saw any type of mistake or any kind of obvious error at all. Super good show. I love watching this guy's shows for sure.
Nice. Okay. How about Starlight, the showmanship? Did you feel you were pulled in, like you were seeing a performance? Were you captivated?
Oh, absolutely. I think, Andrew was just saying about what individual strength to pull. I think the individual strength to pull in this show is absolutely the showmanship and the stage presence, because there's so many moments in this show where he has basic, almost open-handed motions that are just carrying almost silence. The confidence you have to rely on simple mechanisms to get you through pauses and things like that. Back to Teddy's analogy with the fresh basil, he threw whole leaves on that pizza and was like, "Here you go." Like, just the right kind of raw in this energy that he produced, and it didn't feel like he was like trying to pull me in. It felt like I couldn't escape. That there was so much of a structure to the energy he was trying to put across that was captivating to experience for sure.
Nice. Okay. Lust. I don't think I got to yet and ask your view on this
I
yet.
went first.
Oh, okay. My memory.
No, we're good. It's time to hear.
Good.
It's time to hear from our guest judge.
Oh,
Winfrey of basil today.
the basil.
Everybody got some basil.
Let's go to Peanut. Peanut. Just honestly, what comes to your mind what was coming to your mind when you were watching this?
Several things he did. I asked myself, how did he do that? And I don't feel that way too often, and it really impressed me. I was like, that was dope. I don't know how he did that. But that was really cool. And I really liked his whips. He didn't do it for too long throughout, but every time he did it, I really enjoyed that. If there was one knock I had against him, is with the very slight king tutting portion. it kind of took the immersion away. I don't know why I felt that way, but when he went into that, it took me out of the trance he had put me in for such a long time. And then as soon as he got out of it, it took me right back in. That was probably my only knock on the performance as a whole, but everything else I really enjoyed.
Well, that was our 3 contestants. What is the scores looking like, Teddy?
Well, before I release JPEG's scores, which are almost in, we're just waiting on one last category here. Peanut, you have now seen all 3 of these shows, and you have 1.5 points, 1.5 wild card points to give out. So I'd like to ask you, who gets your wild card points and why?
It has to be Elixir. Just, I couldn't find a flaw. Just from what I saw and how I felt watching the show, I couldn't find a flaw. And I still want to see more, even after seeing the show we just saw.
All right. Well, that does bring Elixir's score up to 64 points. Unfortunately, it is not enough, and JPEG came in at 65.5 points, just murdering the scorecard. 447 from Lust, 447.5 from Trump, 4.5 and 9 from Starlight, and the same from me, 4.5 and 9. Yeah, that was an absolutely monster of a show. So kudos to Elixir for taking home Peanut's wildcard points, and kudos to JPEG for moving on to the grand finals. Before we go, Peanut, any closing thoughts on your experience with us today and how you liked it?
Fun. I saw a lot of concepts I did not expect to see in gloving. That just shows how much of an old head I am because I saw so many new things I didn't think I'd see. And I definitely do this again when I have time because this was really fun.
Awesome, man. Well, we will absolutely have you back 100%. We'll be bringing in guests and doing future events. You know, not quite super long competitions like this. We'll do smaller events too, and would love to have you on in the future. So thank you very much, and thank you to Lust, Starlight, Trump, Animated J, and to our man behind the camera, Scotty, for helping us out on this one. That we appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. We got more coming with pod number 3 coming at you soon. Thanks.
Just